All right, y'all. So, Sammy, open that blind a little bit. Get so the light's decent on this thing. Okay, y'all. So, as promised last week, I was talking about how during the feast in our assembly, I saw just people operating in their gifts, in different ways, and kind of led me to just study for Corinthians, I think 12 and 13. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go through just a quick lesson, man, and it's gonna tie into a lot of stuff. And I think it's gonna bless everybody what we're gonna go through. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start reading, and the book of Corinthians was a letter Paul wrote to the church in Corinth. Okay. So hold on one sec. Try to pull up. Ideally, I want to pull my notes up on this computer. So it's a letter that Paul wrote to the church in Corinth, and it's concerning. He starts out with it concerning spiritual gifts, because they, I guess they had some misunderstandings about it, and it's really a good. It's a good study. Okay, there we go. I found my notes. All right. All right. Go ahead, Ambry. You go ahead and start reading it.
1 Corinthians 12. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I would not have you ignorant.
So on that, he doesn't want them ignorant. He's giving them understanding concerning spiritual gifts. Okay? Keep going.
Ye know that ye were Gentiles, carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led. Wherefore I give you to understand that no man speaking by the Spirit of Yah calls Jesus accursed, and that no man can say that Jesus is the Master but by the Holy Spirit. Now there are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit.
Okay.
And there are differences of administrations, but the same Lord.
Okay, so administration in the Greek is dekonia. Okay, that's the Greek word, and that word, it signifies service or ministry. It's used in the New Testament and refers to the work of helping others, whether through practical acts of service or through spiritual guidance and stuff like that. Okay, so we're just going through defining these words. All right, keep going.
And there are diversities of operations, but it's the same God which works all in all.
Okay, so operations is and I might not pronounce it right, but it's enigma, something like that. Okay, that's a Greek word, and the meaning, the definition and the meaning of operation is operation, working. The meaning of operation is performance of a practical work or of something involving the practical application of principles or processes. Okay. In the Amplified, it's reading that same verse in the Amplified. It says, "And there are distinctive ways of working to accomplish things, but it is the same God who produces all things in all believers." Okay? Keep reading.
But the manifestation of the Spirit is given to every man to profit withal. For to one is given by the Spirit the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge by the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another the gifts of healing by the same Spirit, to another the working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of spirits, to another diverse kinds of tongues, to another the interpretation of tongues. But all these worketh that one and but all these worketh that one and the selfsame Spirit, dividing to every man severally as he wills.
So basically, what it's saying is the gifts are distributed among the saints as the Spirit sees fit, as Yah sees fit. Keep going, and it's gonna, as we read on, the rest of the chapter is gonna just kind of reinforce that and elaborate on that. Go ahead.
For as the body is one and has many members, and all the members of that one body, being many, are one body, so also is Christ. For by one Spirit are we all baptized into one body, whether we be Jews or Gentiles, whether we be bond or free, and have been all made to drink into one Spirit. For the body is not one member, but many. If the foot shall say, because I am not the hand, I am not of the body, is it therefore not of the body?
So what it's saying, what he's saying there is, like, if the foot's sitting there saying, hey, you ain't part of this body because you ain't doing what a foot does or whatever, that's the analogy he's giving. And he's going to keep elaborating on that. Keep going.
And if the ear shall say, because I am not the eye, I am not of the body, is it therefore not of the body?
So he's saying if the ear says, because it's not an eye, you're not of the body. You see what I'm saying? He's giving you just a simple analogy that you can't get confused, where, look, you got different body parts that do different things, and some of the body parts that are the least seen are the most valuable. Like, for instance, the skin on your forehead. Everybody sees the skin on your forehead, right? But nobody sees a pancreas. But how important is a pancreas? It's very important. How important is a heart? It's very important. But it's not seen. So he's going to elaborate on that, you know, all the body parts work together for the whole. Keep going.
If the whole body were an eye, where were the hearing? If the whole were hearing, where were the smelling? But now has God set the members, every one of them, in the body, as it has pleased him.
So he's saying, I'm just reiterating, he's saying God has set up the body as he pleases. He structures things. And again, what I saw at the feast with our assembly, I see how all the brothers and sisters, how we all come together, and everybody, and this is the serious-minded people that are part of this thing, how everybody fits into their place and is able to literally function like different organs and parts of a body for the good of the whole body. So keep going.
And if they were all one member, where were the body?
So what he's saying, if the whole body was a foot, how would it see? It don't make no sense, right? Keep going.
But now are they many members, yet but one body. And the eye cannot say unto the hand, I have no need of thee.
You see that? So, and again, that's what I see this feast with our assembly, the way we were functioning and operating. It was like you had Koya took her group of sisters. She went and cleaned, did the cleaning, did what she had to do. Sister Crystal was helping with the children and just made it a fun, blessed feast for the children and everything. You know, I saw how the brothers were functioning, and not just at the feast, but leading into the feast. You know, we do a lot of work, and just all the parts came together for the good of the whole. And that's just a microcosm of a bigger thing. But in the feast, you know, we're all together around each other, so it's very obvious then. Go ahead, keep going, Amri.
And the eye cannot say unto the hand, I have no need of thee, nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. Nay, much more those members of the body which seem to be more feeble are necessary.
So it's saying the parts of the body that don't seem very, you know, like I said earlier, obvious. It said the feeble, like the weaker ones, which might seem weak, they're very necessary. Like, try to get an eyeball to do what a foot does. It's gonna be like you put your eyeball on your ankle and put your foot where your eyes at. You're gonna be walking in the walls, and your ankles are gonna be hurting because that eyeball is just gonna get squished. That's how silly it. You know what I'm saying? That's how basic this is. Keep going.
23. And those members of the body which we think to be less honorable, upon these we bestow more abundant honor, and our uncomely parts have more abundant comeliness.
So comely means good looking, and it said the uncomely parts have what?
Have become more abundant comely. Parts have more abundant comeliness.
Yeah, so I think what it's saying is the part, I don't know. Which verse is that?
23.
23. Somebody make a note to remind me about that at the end of this lesson, then I'll bring it up and break that down. Okay, keep going.
For our comely parts have no need, but God has tempered the body together, having given more abundant honor to that part which lacked.
Okay.
That there should be no schism in the body, but that the members should have the same care one for another.
Okay, and make a note of what he just said there. The members having one care one for another, because that it's going to lead into a higher level thing. Okay, and then you heard he said no schisms. Which verse are you on?
That's 20. I was 25.
Okay, cool. Keep going.
26. And whether one member suffer all the members, and whether one member suffer, all the members suffer with it, or one member be honored, all the members rejoice with it. Now ye are the body of Christ, and members in particular. And God has set some in the church, first apostles, secondarily prophets, thirdly teachers, after that miracles, then gifts of healing, helps, governments, diversities of tongues. Are all apostles? Are all prophets? Are all teachers? Are all workers of miracles?
So he's asking that what that's called a rhetorical question. The question answers itself. He's saying, do all do the same thing in the body? And the obvious answer is no. That's what this whole section has been about. Keep going.
Have all the gifts of healing? Do all speak with tongues? Do all interpret? But covet earnestly the best gifts, and yet show I unto you a more excellent way.
So this is an important part. He said, covet the best gifts, but what he's going to do is show a more excellent way. Now, I'm gonna read this same verse, this last verse. I'm gonna read this in like an English, a more broken down version. It says, but eagerly seek the greater gifts, and now I am going to show you a more excellent way. Or to say it better, continue to give your attention to the spiritual, okay. It says, continue to give your attention to the spiritual gifts you consider to be the greatest, but now I want to point out a way of life that is even greater. Okay? And what's important about this verse right here is, again, what I told you at the beginning. Corinthians is a letter, okay? And they broke it off here. But what he's going to show you what that greater way is, literally in the next verse, but they did a chapter break. So a lot of people like, okay, so what's the more excellent way? Well, if you read this in its original form, it's just one continuous letter. You understand what I'm saying? So it says, he said he just explained spiritual gifts. Now he's going to show you a more excellent way. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and start with Corinthians 13.
1 Corinthians 13. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and have not charity, I am become as sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains and have not charity, I am nothing.
Okay, so he's showing you the more excellent way, and it's charity. People were putting a lot of emphasis on spiritual gifts, but with this chapter is going to tell you, if you don't have charity, and I'm going to define what charity is. If you don't have charity, it's nothing. You don't have a relationship with Yah, okay? Now look, the definition of that word charity, when you look it up in the Greek, I'm sure y'all heard this word before. It's agape. Y'all have heard of agape, love and everything like that. And the thing about the Greek language, it was a lot, and this is most languages, because English is like a caveman language. It doesn't express, it's not as expressive as most other languages. I had I had a friend when I was in the military who studied Chinese. And he was just saying, man, he was explaining how that language, it expresses, there's words for emotions that you have that English language doesn't even have a word for. English is like a caveman language, like, happy, good, and that's it, you know. But these other languages are way more expressive on emotion. So Greek also is more expressive than English. So there's different types of love, okay? So they have eros love, and this is the passionate romantic love, or what the Bible would call lust, but that America defines as love. What do they call it? Instant love? What do they call that? Love at first sight. Okay? So that's eros, and it's really just lust. It is not love in the biblical sense. They have phileo love, which is, you ever heard Philadelphia? It stands for the city of brotherly love. Phileo. So it's a brotherly type love, okay? They have storge loves. Storge is STORGE love, and that's a kind of more family familiar love, because you've been around this person, so it's a familiarity type of love. And then they have agape love, and I'm gonna read over and define that, because this is the biblical love When the Most High says, love your brother as you love yourself, this is the love he's talking about. This is the word that's used in the New Testament. So agape is considered the highest form of love, a selfless, unconditional love. And that's what sets it apart from other loves, is that it's selfless. This love, is a love where you're caring about the well-being of someone else, and even to sometimes a point of you not doing well. It's the type of love that Yah has for us. Now, it's not a feel-good, emotional love. You see what I'm saying? And what I'm saying, what I mean by that is agape love, is like the love that a parent would have for their child. Sometimes they're going to discipline them and tell them stuff and have them do stuff that'll make the child cry and that they don't like, but it's for their well-being. And this is the problem with a lot of people. A lot of people are carnal in their view on love. So when somebody is telling them something that's going to help them, from this society, we've been conditioned to see that as hate and as something mean and something to be despised. Sometimes, especially in it being a head of assembly, dealing with the saints, and people come in and they need rebuke, correction, and stuff like that, you got to tell them stuff that doesn't feel good to them. And a lot of people will get bitter about it because they don't understand. They've never been loved before. They've never been truly loved. So when they get corrected, they regard that as something mean, and they only like feel-good love. But that's not real love. Look at the love that Yah had for Israel. Sometimes it would be painful for them, but it was for their good. So when you learn to condition your mind, and you become spiritual, and then you begin to look around yourself and do an audit, and you can truly evaluate who loves you and who doesn't by, hey, does he tell me stuff that I don't like, but it is for my well-being? It gets me upset. It don't feel good, but it's for my well-being. Well, that person, agape, loves me as a brother. And then you see somebody else, they're fun to be around. It's always laughing, joking, whatever, and it feels good being around them, but they never tell you nothing that's going to help you. And you know that person truly doesn't love you. What they're doing is get all these other loves are selfish loves, where like the Eros love, it's a lust. I want them, so I'm gonna do whatever I can to get them. But the agape love is a selfless love. It's a spiritual love. Does that make sense?
Sure.
All right. So I'm going to read some of these definitions so y'all can understand it. It says agape is considered the highest form of love, a selfless, unconditional, and it's not an unconditional love. I'll break that down too. Regardless of personal ties or feelings, it's about goodwill, benevolence, and benevolence is a desire to do good to others. Goodwill, charitableness, and actively seeking the well-being of others. That's the key distinction with agape love. It's looking for the well-being of others. It's not looking to get something from others, okay? Let's see. This love is often associated with spiritual love, charity, compassion. It's a love that gives without expecting anything in return. In Christian theology, agape is a love God has for humanity, and a love, and he has that for Israel and those who keep his commandments. He don't have it for people who don't keep his commandments. And just so y'all don't think I'm pulling that out nowhere, Sirach Ecclesiasticus chapter 12, verse 4 through 7. Give to the godly man and help not a sinner. Do well unto him that is lowly, but give not to the ungodly. Hold back thy bread, and give it not unto him, lest he overmaster thee thereby. For else thou shalt receive twice as much evil for the good thou shalt have done unto him. For the Most High hateth sinners, and will repay vengeance unto the ungodly, and keepeth them against the mighty day of their punishment. Give unto the good, and help not the sinner. So that whole unconditional love, that's Christian theology. That's not biblical theology. Okay? Let's see. So, concluding what I just read there, what is the significance of knowing these types of love? It will help you define, discern, and determine who really cares about you and who you care about. The other loves are about need, selfishness, and familiarity. Agape is about serving others for their good, sometimes at the expense of your good. Okay? So it's all right. So knowing that, and Umbre, I'm going to have you go back, start at 1 Corinthians chapter 13 again. We're going to start from the beginning, and it's showing you the more excellent way of operating, what the spiritual gifts are even pointing to. Okay? So go ahead and read that, Umbre.
All right. Verse 1. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and have not charity, I am become as sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal.
So what he's saying in there, and I can testify to it. I have seen people who can speak in tongues. Even in Christianity, I've seen people who speak in tongues, who heal, who do all these things, but they don't got charity. They don't have love. They don't care about their brother. They don't love their brother as they love themselves. You know, if you look at, I think it's in Matthew, but they ask him, what are the most important commandments? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul. And we know doing the commandments is love. And then it says, love your brother as you love yourself. It's one big circle. It's coming right back to what it's saying here. If you don't have charity, you ain't his. It doesn't matter. There's a Bible verse. It says, in those end times, people are going to come to him and say, Lord, Lord, have I not cast out devils and prophesied in your name? That's one of the spiritual gifts. And he's going to tell them, depart from me, your works were iniquity. So this is why it's telling you, if you don't have charity, you ain't got nothing. We've seen firsthand people who, look, over this last year, people who speak in tongues and they appear to be all spiritual, but there's no charity. There's no, what's the word? Empathy. And what I wrote here, empathy is the ability to understand and share another's feelings and it's a vital precursor and driving force behind agape love. Is having charity. Okay? The selfless and active concern for the well-being of others, man. So again, this is a more excellent way of operating. But go ahead, keep reading, Umbre.
And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith, so that I could remove mountains, and have not charity, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, and have not charity, it profiteth me nothing. Charity suffers long, and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself. is not puffed up, does not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinks no evil, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoice in the truth, beareth all things, believeth all things, hopes all things, endureth all things. Charity never fails, but whether there be prophecies, they shall fail. Whether there be tongues, they shall cease. Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away.
So, and that's talking about when Christ returns. Keep going.
When I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know even as also I am known. And now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three, but the greatest of these is charity.
So it's saying the greatest of them is charity. So charity is a more excellent way. And again, going back, where agape is, and that charity is about serving others for their good, sometimes at the expense of your good. And then now when we go back and we look at the spiritual gifts are a way to express agape love, used correctly. Because you can misuse the spiritual gifts. That's why if you read further in Corinthians, he talks about how, if where people were using their spiritual gifts, but they weren't using them in a charitable way, in a way of charity, and he had to correct them. He's like, if you're speaking in tongues, he lays out rules, have somebody to interpret this, that, and the other. You see people because the gifts of Yah without repentance. You see people who have the gift of healing. And, these things could be confusing because, again, even in the Christian church, there's people with the gift of healing. And it can be confusing, like, well, he has to be righteous because he's healing, but they're using that gift to make money, So charity, you use that as a blueprint or foundation of discerning people's character, you know what I'm saying? And where they're at. And look, don't get it twisted. Look, everybody got work to do on this, including and especially me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not trying to, vaunt myself up there or anything, lift myself up high or anything like that. Let's see. So Matthew chapter 7, verse 22. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied? Didn't it say in Corinthians 12 that the prophecy is the most important gift? Or he says he prefer you prophesy. Look, it's saying right here, Lord, in that day, many will come to him saying, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have cast out devils, and in your name done many wonderful works. And then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. And then, Pastor did a lesson on iniquity. What's iniquity? He didn't say sin. Sin is, for whatever reason, you didn't do what the law says. You transgressed against the law. Iniquity is deep-seated, purposeful willingness, neglectful. You know what? I ain't worrying. I know I'm this way, but I ain't working on it type stuff. That deeply ingrained stuff, okay? That you got to get out of you. So, again, that shows you trying to go off of people's gifts and determine whether they're righteous or unrighteous. You're gonna get misled, because there's a lot of people that put on a good game. But this is why you gotta get around the saints. Anybody that's gonna be your brother or sister, you need to be around them so you can know who they are, because people could put on a good game, deceive you. A lot of people don't have spiritual love, the agape love, the real love, where they actually care about their brother or sister. We just heard about the situation on Straight Talk where this girl, she had eros love, that lusty love, or another level of, but it wasn't agape love, because agape love, you're going to inconvenience yourself for the care of your brother or your sister. You see what I'm saying? So you, as saints, y'all have to be aware and have the ability to discern and evaluate, righteous people versus evil people. You know what I'm saying? So understanding those loves and those feelings, and just understanding that in yourself, and it's going to show you a lot of error in yourself and things you got to work on. Did anybody have any questions, comments, concerns, anything?
You said to go back to 1 Corinthians 12:23.
Okay. Let me, anybody have anything else?
So I always find it interesting, the intent of, or the background context of why this was written. And, so basically what's interesting is reading why this was written to the church, and then just having an understanding of what was going on in the church when he started talking about all this. It just gives you a broader understanding. So I want to just say that sometimes divisions happen because the spirit of competition and comparison is, kind of at play, because people don't understand their spiritual gifts, or some gifts look more, I'm gonna say, attractive than others. And a lot of that stuff was going on where people were speaking in tongues and they were prophesying, and it boosted their social status within the church.
Oh, wow.
And that's kind of why people, I want that gift. I want that gift. But they were misunderstanding the use of it and how that can bring strife and contention. And that's why he was saying, love. No, you need love operating.
Yep.
That's going to unify and put these gifts into perspective.
Yep.
So he he provided correction to the church. And then he just talked about all these gifts, but he said the greatest of this is love.
Yep.
Because that's how they truly operate.
Yep. That's good. And then it said, on that verse that Umbry read, and sometimes that old English could be confusing, but where it's talking about the comely parts, here's the easy English version. It says, think about the parts of our body that are not very special. We dress them carefully, and we take special care of those parts that we do not want people to see. Okay? Like your butt. You know what I'm saying? You want to cover that up. You don't want nobody to see, but it's important. You know what I'm saying? So, we got the comedy crew over there. But anyway, that's what he's talking about. They're not regarded as very nice and all that stuff like that, but they're still important. And just like we read through, let me go back to my notes. But where I define the gift of administration, that's one of my gifts. I want to serve. Like, I feel like when I get around righteous, when I came to Straightway, I was compelled to serve. I wanted to serve. And I mean, I personally think that's one of my gifts that I operate in. But and there's a lot of people that I see that just have a desire to serve. You have other people, man, healing. Other people, you see all the spiritual gifts operating, and then you see how it all works together for the good of the whole. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So
I agree, because I believe that's what Christ is always interested in, the good, not just individual people, but the whole body.
Right.
The whole body.
The whole body.
Yes.
And it's like when I came Straightway, got around the leadership, I was like, man, we gotta serve and support this leadership. And then you look at it from a 10,000 foot view, and you look at it from a big perspective. That's how this thing's gonna work. That support's gonna be needed. All these roles are gonna be needed.
Yeah.
And how much time we got? Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up. But did anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns? All right. So also, what I want y'all to do. Get Corinthians, and because this goes on further, I have to teach some more on it. But read through Corinthians, and it's not, when you read the word, it's not about similar words, it's about context. Read things in context. Somebody pull up the definition of context. You want to read. If you want to understand stuff in the word, a lot of times you got to read the chapter to understand what the whole meaning of it, what the whole purpose, the overlying thing. You want to read some. I'll be honest. Like there's stuff I read in Ezekiel, end time prophecy stuff, or stuff that they sometimes will say is end time prophecy. You will have to read 2 or 3 chapters before and after to get the contextual meaning of what's being said there. And a lot of times people will just pull something out because it has similar words, but they're taking it out of context. Go ahead, Umber.
The parts of a discourse that surround a word or passage and can throw light on its meaning.
Okay. Probably. See if you find a better one. That's a little complex. That was like the University at Cambridge definition. But I got what it was saying. But you want to understand the whole. You want a complete understanding of what's being said and why it's being said, and like what Koya was bringing out, why that letter was written. She talked about, go ahead.
The circumstances that form the setting for an event, statement, or idea, and in terms of which it can be fully understood and assessed.
Okay. So that's a good one. Mm-hmm. And this is why when you're reading the word, you want to make sure you understand why things are being said and just read it in its entirety. Like me, what was an aha moment for me was that at the end of 1 Corinthians 12, he said, now I'll show you a more excellent way. And I used to always say, well, what's the more excellent way? Is it what he just said? But then you realize Corinthians was written hundreds of years later. They put chapters and verses in there, okay? And somebody cut it off there. What they should have did is cut it off at 30 and put 31, and now I'll show you a more excellent way. That should have been in Corinthians 13. Because that's the more excellent way that he... But for some reason, they cut it off there. And if you're not reading through those chapters, it might leave you confused. You got a question? Ty?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, with that said, y'all, if y'all ain't got no questions,
Do the children know their spiritual gifts? I know. You know yours? What's yours?
eating waffles. I don't know if that's a spiritual gift. We have to do some biblical research. All right, y'all.